Well, good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, depending on when you're watching this. Yours truly, Kashmir J. Adderley. And ladies and gentlemen, I thank you so much for being a part of this show, a very special show. And what's so great is, when I heard about this anthology, when I heard about this compilation, I thought it was so important to get these ladies on. And of course, this is not all the ladies, but we're going to tell you more about that in just a bit. I wanted them to be able to voice their story, to be able to share what happened to them almost 1 year ago when the Bahamas, especially those in Abaco and Grand Bahama, would have faced Hurricane Dorian. And of course, a lot of people are still, as we have gone through just a few hurricanes since then, they are still kind of going through the motions and having some flashback at those times. And so this book, this anthology is just so pertinent to this time, almost on this anniversary, Crisis in Paradise. Before we go too far, I want to welcome to help us to set up things and to get an understanding of this book, the one and only, the amazing Darlene Hollins. She's with us, and of course, it's so great to have you. How are you doing today?
I'm great, doing well here. Hello to everybody from Atlanta, Georgia,
Yes.
back home to the Bahamas. Thanks for having us on tonight.
It's so great to have you on and, to have you share. And we have had our conversations in the past. And so when you showed me this, I said, this is something that everybody needs to know about. Everybody needs to experience this. So tell us a little bit about how did Crisis in Paradise come about?
Well, so I am a certified master life and business coach as well as a publisher. And I work with women. My passion is helping women rebrand their lives, mind, body, spirit, and their money. And when this happened, as most Bahamians, I'm sure all of us abroad, as we heard of the hurricane, we were having our own moments and knowing that our Bahamian people were experiencing Hurricane Dorian and just watching it on the TV. And my thing is, I wanted to do something that was out of the box, and I started thinking, what can I do? I was a part of a relief effort here in Atlanta, but I know we always just send clothes or you hear about material for housing and all of that, but we never hear about what are we doing for the person.
Right.
And even as I was thinking about that, I felt led to write a book. Actually, the Lord said, you need to write a book. You need to get those ladies together, put out a call. And at first I was kind of hesitant about doing it because I'm a stranger. I was a stranger to these ladies. But I went to an event that the Consul General here in Atlanta, Astra Bristol, that she had, and everyone, they were talking about the women, and they talked about how the women and the children were the last ones to really recover from all of this. They were talking about, there was a survivor there with her and her kids. They rode out the storm in the car, her and her children. But all those ladies they're talking, there were several other consul generals there from other parts of the Caribbean and Canada. And it was really impressed upon me that I had to do this. And so it was confirmed again another time. So I said, you know what, let me just put out a call for the women. So the thing is, I wanted to help women to rebrand their lives, not just their stuff. To help women to get themselves back together. And our Bahamian women, we're very independent. We love to, a lot of us have our own businesses. And I know that I heard about the loss. I knew as soon as I saw that a lot of these women, they lost everything. So that was my way to give back to these women. I mean, me not being a nonprofit organization, I just chose how to give back. And so I just put out a call and 9 women answered. Again, 4 from Abaco and 4 from Grand Bahama. We actually had a few that started out with us, but these are the ladies that for 7 months, they stuck with it. And I've watched these women evolve so much, and from last year to now.
That's so very powerful. The stories that we've heard of restoration and recovery coming out of Hurricane Dorian. We want to talk to some of the women that we have join us. And like you said, it's 9 women in total, but we have 3 ladies joining us on the show today. And so who wants to go first, ladies? Which one of you just want to share your part in writing this book? And I see Deshaun, you have your microphone open. So start us off and tell us a little bit about your story and your input in this book, Crisis in Paradise.
Hello, everybody. And I'm just so happy to be a part of this project. When I first heard about it, one of my good friends in Atlanta, Georgia, she actually reached out to me. She is somebody who I grew up with, went to church with, and she was a really good friend. And she actually offered some support when we first evacuated out of Abaco into Florida. Me and my family were actually in Florida right now. We've been here ever since we evacuated out of Abaco last year, September. And she reached out to me and she asked me if I would be interested. So for me personally, I never thought that I would be a part of a project like this. And I was elated, and, I really wanted to have the opportunity to share my story. A lady out of my church here in Florida, when I first came over, she actually said, I see you writing a book.
Wow.
But I never even imagined that I would actually write a book about this topic. There were so many emotions that were going on at the time, coming out, still trying to organize, exactly where I was emotionally, mentally, just trying to recover from everything that had happened. And so for me, I thought it was important to really just be involved in a project like this to get my story out so people could know, what actually took place. It was kind of therapeutic for me being able to talk about it, because honestly, amongst my family, we haven't really had the opportunity to really sit down as a family and really go through what we actually experienced. So this was a way for me to actually, release some of what I had actually experienced, me and my family. And then I like the idea that it's being documented. So 10 years from now, persons could, pick up this book and they can read it. We have all the video footage. A lot of people share news stories, but now we actually have a book with a documented print of what we actually went through. And so for me, that was one of the reasons why I was excited to actually get involved with this project. It took a while for me to actually get all my thoughts on paper.
Right.
And so I tried to just express everything that took place. I didn't know where to start from because there was so many changing scenarios, going through Hurricane Dorian. It was like moment by moment. I mean, from preparation to actually being there in the storm to the aftermath, and then even, the evacuation, and now just trying to piece our lives back together.
Right.
And so for me, I'm just happy to be a part of this and be able to share my story with those who would want to read and hear about it.
I want to go back to something you said. You talked about it being therapeutic, being able to write. Do you have any encouragement that you would like to give to other persons who may be watching this, who have still not really begun to go through the process of their emotions of what they would have faced almost 1 year ago, and they haven't really been able to find that outlet to really be able to release those things that they have within them?
Yeah, I would like to say, you have to get it out. You have to talk about it. I mean, it was the scariest experience of my entire life. Me and my family, we had been through hurricanes before, but this was the first like it. And, coming out, we didn't really sit down and really discuss what really happened. We didn't really get to see a whole lot either. We saw a lot of devastation, but we really didn't see everything because we were able to come out of Abaco that Friday after the storm. And thankfully, I didn't get to really go around into the communities and see the island-wide devastation. And so it was just a lot of emotions. Abaco is a place that my family, we made that our home 20 years ago. We migrated there from Nassau. And so to see the place that you made your home just be destroyed in a moment,
Wow.
It was just so much to just think about. So I would just encourage anybody that has been through anything like that, even if you don't get to the point where we are in terms of writing a book, at least have a journal and have an outlet. If you don't have somebody who you can really talk to it about right away, at least get it out, because that helps with the healing process and, just being able to deal with the whole experience, because it was a very traumatic experience.
Right. All right. Well, we thank you so much, Tashawn Maycock, for joining us, and we're going to speak to you again before we wrap things up. And it's so very important what she said, to being able to tell your story, to be able to share what you went through with somebody else. We have two other ladies that's joining us this evening, and we want to be able to get a word in from them as well. Ladies, thank you so much. Which one of you will join us next?
Um,
Kizzy, all right.
my name is Kizzy Mitchell,
Mm-hmm.
and wow, what to say about Hurricane Dorian?
Mm-hmm.
The first thing I'd like to say, I remember I watched the news, I think, a few days leading up to the storm, and a broadcaster from the United States described the storm as a storm from hell.
Wow.
And when she said that, that sent a panic in me. And so I think for me, the trauma started from there. I had been through a lot of storms in Abaco. Most of the most devastating storms in the Bahamas I've went through in Abaco, but nothing like Hurricane Dorian. Unlike Deshaun, I was there until Saturday, but I saw the complete devastation. And so being amidst my house falling apart, then having to, let me go back to my story, actually.
Sure.
We were in our home was falling apart with us in it. And we had to rent our car. We lived in our car for 6 days after the storm. I think for me, even though the storm was scary, more so the aftermath, it took a toll on my mind. The looting, it's so much to think about. The looting was the biggest part for me. They weren't only stealing food, what was necessary. I mean, people were literally hijacking vehicles, holding you at gunpoint. I mean, it was a scary experience. And I didn't sleep one night like I said, it was 6 days we spent in Abaco post Dorian, and I didn't sleep a single night in Abaco.
Wow.
I couldn't fall asleep. I was totally traumatized. I did not even start. When I got the opportunity, I think a friend of mine tagged me in Miss Darlene's post about the book. And at first I wasn't really interested because I didn't want to retell my story. Just thinking about the story was emotional.
Right.
But I didn't. Miss Darlene would check in with us, every now and again. She'd check in, make sure we were writing, and I would always say I'm writing. I mean, I was writing a sentence here, sentence there, but I didn't start writing my story really until the pandemic, and they had closed down, or the Prime Minister had announced a shutdown. I headed back to Abaco, and sitting on the plane, that's when I first started writing my story, like really processing it all and writing my story. Because here I was in the storm, running away from Abaco, and I promised I never wanted to return. That was how I felt leaving Abaco. That was my thought on the plane. I'm never coming back here. And to had to be running back, to me, the pandemic was almost like another storm. Right. And so here I was running back to this island amidst a night storm. But one thing that stuck out to me, I mean, in running back to Abaco, was I survived Dorian. And so I can survive the pandemic in Abaco. And so that was my thought. I had a lot to deal with. I'm still dealing with it, with all the motion of it. The trauma, like Deshaun said, how help somebody that is or hasn't totally processed the storm. Talking about it for me was okay, but you need, in some cases, you need professional help. I was totally traumatized, and the people around me didn't see it. For months, I talked about partially eating, couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. Months after the storm, no sleep, no food. I had a friend of mine that would, she would tell me, "Kids, you have to eat. There's no way you could survive like this. You have to eat." I mean, it was trauma, like total trauma. But I'm glad to be able to share my story. Like Miss Darlene said, she offered a whole rebranding, and I think for me that's exactly what has or is happening in my life. I'm rebranding my life. I was starting my business before the storm. I lost that. I lost my home. We lost everything in the storm. But here I am amidst the pandemic, and just trying to get my life back together, trying to rebuild it all.
Wow, it's a lot, and I can even hear it in your voice as you continue to talk that you were, just reliving those emotions. But I think the one thing that really sticks out to me is the word resilience. As you share your story, and so many people who have went through Dorian, now going through the pandemic, they have showed their resiliency through it all. And so, I just want to continue to encourage you, and of course, encourage those who are listening in to continue to be resilient. Is there any encouraging words that you want to share? You shared about persons, not everybody dealing with Dorian in the same way. And so some persons needing that professional help. Is there any encouragement that you might have to somebody who might be in more so denial, to think that, hey, I'm okay, I'm good, but maybe they may just need to reach out to somebody to maybe talk a little bit more?
Well, for me, my faith is what's keeping me together.
Right.
I would say know who you're serving. I mean,
Right.
Had it not been for God, I do not know where I would be right now.
Right.
In my mind, I don't know where I would be. I think the one thing I kept to rethink is all things work together, even amidst the storm. That's the scripture that I kept reciting to myself. All things work together for good. All things, I mean, house falling apart, and I'm saying all things work together for good. I didn't see the good yet, but that's the one thing I kept telling myself. And so I would say to anybody that's dealing with Dorian or Dorian was trauma, and trauma has a way of tipping us over the edge. And so firstly, I would say no. I mean, God is that's for me, that's my foundation.
Right.
Outside of it, have somebody to talk to, find a friend, somebody that you can confide in. If need be, find a therapist, find somebody. But for me, firstly, it was my faith in God.
All right. Well, we thank you so much, Ms. Mitchell, for joining us and being able to share your story. And our prayer is that it would have helped somebody and touched somebody in a very special way. We want to invite Ms. Terry on the line with us right now and get her to share her story and, of course, her input in this anthology.
Hello, everyone. How are you guys? My name is Terry June. I am from Abaco. And I am currently in the U.S. And I've been back and forth from the U.S. to Abaco. And I recently got back. It has been, where do I start? It has been a long road. this journey, I remember when I first saw the flyer, I was hesitant because I'm not someone who I would say would do something like that. I never thought of myself about writing a book or anything. So I left it alone. I was like, this is interesting, but it's so not me. So I remember weeks went by and I found myself praying and I'm talking to God and I'm like, Lord, what is next? Because I found myself at a standstill because I was always on the go, never the one to be home or have so much time at hand. So I remember praying and asking God, like, what's next? What is my purpose? And Deshawn reached out to me. I've known her since we was in Abaco, and she sent me it via messenger. And I'm like, okay, Lord, this is it. Because if I'm praying and this just comes up, I feel like everything happens for a reason. So I'm like, I'm gonna do it. And I reached out to Darlene, and next thing I know, I was on a Zoom call, and I'm like, okay, I'm doing this. And I mean, just thinking about the state that Abaco is in right now, I left a week later. So it was very traumatizing, experiencing that. It was frightening. And with this pandemic going on, I'm still here. So I'm thankful. And during all of this, I remember during all of this and the hurricane, I knew that God was with me. I knew that I remember he promised that he wouldn't leave me nor forsake me. And it was only him. I'm living today because God is real.
Was writing the anthology, was it really scary for you? Was it something, obviously, I think this might be your first time writing something like this. And so what really gave you the encouragement to tell your story?
When I looked around and I've seen so many different and I've heard so many stories of people talking about they're not knowing how to carry on or how to move on or anything. And I said, you know what, let me just share my story and what transpired, what changed, because this is something that changed me. And I wanted to be able to share that with someone that doesn't know what's next, so they could know what they should do whenever they're feeling that way.
Okay. Well, you definitely want to thank you so much for sharing your story and being able to put it in the book so that persons now can be able to read it from all over the world. We do appreciate you. And so as we get ready to wrap up, we want Darlene Hollis to just join us once again. And for those watching, those listening, they want to know where they could be able to grab this anthology. They want to know where they could be able to go and read this. Can you give us the information?
Okay. Thank you for having me back. Before I give you the information, I just want to tell you that I am so proud of all of these ladies. Again, I've watched them evolve. Most of them are back in business or have started new businesses. We have new life coaches. We have new traders, and they're doing all these different good things. Deshawn is back with marketing and branding. Am I right, Deshawn? Communications. So we have these women are awesome. These women are phenomenal women. They are resilient. And I know that each of their stories it's really going to help somebody, men and women. It's going to give you hope. And one of the things we've been asked over here is what can there are others who feel like they can help, even those who just went through Hurricane Laura here in the USA. So there are people who are asking about that and asking, how do they get through? So there are people who are watching the Bahamas, and that's all I heard last year from people from other countries. They were like, y'all people are some resilient people. Yes. So I want Bahamians to know that's what everybody is saying about us. But I know firsthand that these ladies are very resilient, brilliant, phenomenal women. Mm-hmm. So to order the book, you can go to dhbooksandpublishing.com and you will see each lady there you can click on her picture. There's a link for each person. You can click there and you can purchase from each of them separately, whoever you want to support. Support several of them. You can support all of them if you want to. Right now it's $15.99 up until the day of the release, which is September 25th. It's $15, and then it'll go to $18.99 once the book is released on the 25th of September.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So now, ladies and gentlemen, what I'll do is I'll get that information from Ms. Darlene. I'll post it below this video if you're watching it on Facebook or Instagram. And of course, if you're listening to us on the podcast, we're going to let her say that website once again. And so if you're driving right now, listening to the podcast, and you want to be able to order your book, you could give that to us one more time, Darlene, so we can make sure I write that down.
Okay. It's www.dhbooksandpublishing.com.
All right, awesome. Now, before we wrap everything up, I want to just go around. Everybody just want to give you your closing comments to the listening and the watching audience. And I guess we will start with Terry, and then let's go to Deshaun, let's go to Kizzy, and then we'll let Ms. Darlene wrap everything up.
Hello, everyone. Once again, in closing, I would like to say go ahead and pre-order, catch the sale before it ends on the 25th.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Deshaun?
Yes, thank you, everybody. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate your support, and we really would like you to go there, purchase the book. And like Darlene said, you could buy from each one of us, and you can share it with 9 friends. Mm-hmm. So, get the book out there. I think it would be even a good book for students to read in school. I know a lot of students right now are doing virtual learning. So this would be a good, you can start a book club about it. So please, we really appreciate your support.
All right. Ms. Mitchell?
Well, they said it all as far as support. But most importantly, read the book. It's stories of hope. Each of us, we have our own experience, but through it all and at the end of it all, it's just a story of hope. And we definitely need hope in this world today. We need hope. And so don't forget to support.
Awesome. And Ms. Hollis, as we get ready to wrap up, your closing comments.
Again, like they said, please support these ladies. They're phenomenal women, and these are women that are going, even the ones who are away, we want to give back to our community. When we get ourselves on our feet, we can help you get on your feet. These women will be the women who will create opportunities for other women. So please support them. And again, thanks for everybody supporting us and hearing these ladies. If y'all want to hear from them more, you go to the website too, and you can find all the information there. And thank you so much, Keshagan. Thank you so much for having us.
Always a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to do this again, ladies and gentlemen. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure to have all the ladies on. And of course, there are 9 women in total. Crisis in Paradise, all right? It is an anthology, a compilation of their collective stories. As we look back just about 1 year ago, we would have faced Hurricane Dorian. Stories of hope, stories of triumph. So make sure, go ahead and get your book. And remember that all things work together, as we said throughout this. Such a powerful video. So make sure, tag somebody, share this with somebody who you think that they could bring value from it. And of course, continue to watch and continue to be a part. And make sure, go grab your book. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.